And thank you for staying with us on election night. Polls are now closed. We expect to get results, particularly on the Detroit mayor's race, pouring in any moment now. Chuck Stokes will rejoin us in a few minutes. In the meantime, Mark Hackel, the Macomb County executive, is here with us tonight on a very important night. Anytime we cast our vote in an election. Interested, first off, Mark, in your sense of the race for mayor in the city of Detroit and the importance of that race for the region going forward.
Well, there's no question about it. I mean, the city of Detroit is a huge part of the region, and we need to see that come back. So I think most importantly, whoever this next mayor is going to be, there has to be that connectivity with the emergency manager, the governor's office, as well as the regional leaders. It's not going to happen without that continued support. I got to give Dave Bing a lot of credit. I mean, if we look at what's happened in the city of Detroit, they're faced with a financial problem as well as not only a deficit with the finances, but a deficit of public trust. He came into that office and really restored that level of integrity within the office of mayor. So we kind of hand that off to the next mayor, and hopefully they have that same, I guess, style about them, that understanding that, we're here to gain that public trust, but how do we move forward, not only as the city of Detroit, but as a regional partner to try to help the city of Detroit grow.
All right, hold that for a moment. We'll pick up again with that conversation, but joined by Mark Hackel, continuing our conversation, the Macomb County executive. Chuck Stokes is back with us. It was a fascinating conversation with the mayors, and we were all interested.
It was interesting, and it's one of those interviews where you don't know where it's going because of the fact that they've not done an interview together before. I wasn't sure how they would play off of each other, what questions they would or would not ask, and they agreed on some things, but they disagreed on some things too. Yeah.
And
that regional conversation was just to set up Mark Hackel, from Macomb County.
and Mark, you want and feel that this region must cooperate.
There's no question about it. We've been talking about that from Macomb County's perspective for the last 3 years. I mean, it was one of our kind of the things that we reached out for initially, even before our executive form of government was actually established. How do we get the regional partners together to start realizing how important the region is? Albeit we may be competitive to some degree, we have to come together as a region to compete for the world resources. Whether it's people wanting to invest here or people wanting to live in and around areas. So I've been very fortunate. I mean, Brooks Patterson, Bob Ficano, Dave Bing have been absolutely incredible as far as their working relationship to try to figure out how do we establish that regionalism. And I'm hoping that the next mayor that comes in has that same focus, albeit they got a lot of work to do with the emergency manager as well as the governor's office to try to figure out how do they fix the city problems and the city services and at least restore some of the democracy, if you will, to the citizens, because they are electing people tonight to be their representatives, the mayor and the city council. So they got to figure out how do they work together to really do the right things for the
Mr.
citizens.
County Executive, were you able to hear the conversation with the mayors?
No.
Okay, all right. They had some differing thoughts about regionalism. While they all felt as though there was a place for it, it was to the different degrees, that there are some things that could be regionalized and there are other things that should not be. But as you look at the economics now, have we reached that time in which we should be a regional government as opposed to Macomb County, Oakland County, Detroit, Hamtramck, Highland Park, all of these different places?
I think it's a very philosophical discussion. I mean, if you stop and look within various geographic boundaries, in other words, in Macomb County, 27 distinct municipalities, all having their own police departments, fire departments, dispatch centers, and multitude of services they provide. How do you bring them together? How do you meld it together? That's becoming a challenge, but you're starting to see some of the consolidation taking place within those boundaries themselves. So to say that we're going to be able to get to a place where we have, kind of a regional governance model, I think the examples like Cobo, what we're seeing there is a great opportunity to say, well, you know what, we could still maintain our uniqueness, if we will, as counties and the city of Detroit.
And the DIA.
Still,
everybody's money
absolutely
came into the DIA.
And so how do we work together to try to figure out how do we create, whether it's authorities or opportunities to work together as a region, as opposed to just saying, okay, let's just redo the whole system and try to figure out how do we elect a regional leader and move forward there. I don't think that day will come. I don't think you're going to see that. But I think we got some great examples to show that we can work together.
All right, very good.
Mark, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate
Thank
it
you
very
so much. It's always good talking to
Good
you.
luck this evening. It's a buzz in here.
We'll see you at Mackinac. Well, we'll see you before Mackinac.
Thanks,
Thank you, Mark.
All right,
You too.
take care.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.